today is the day that you get to decide that you're going to do it. Like, today is the best day. So don't wait for the moment where you think I have all my ducks in a row, because the ducks are never going to be there. So the ducks aren't coming. So today is your day. You are listening to this podcast episode for a reason. The messages that Leslie and I have delivered, you are meant to listen to those. So today is the day that you get to decide that you're going to go after it, and then lean into the stories of women just like both of us who have gone before you to know that it is all possible. Like, if both of us who have screwed up majorly in life and made massive mistakes can go on and be as successful as we are, trust me, anybody can do this.
Welcome to Unmasked Founders with Leslie Kay. This is the podcast that goes beyond the highlight reel of entrepreneurship. Instead of focusing on the accolades and achievements, this show explores the real moments that shape founders, the challenges, the breakthroughs, and the lessons that transform both the business and the human behind it. Hosted by me, Leslie Kay, an entrepreneur who has built empires and discovered the cost of success. Unmasked Founders is a space for honest conversations about growth, resilience, and staying true to who you are. Whether listeners are just starting out or scaling to the next level, this is where real stories are told. Welcome to Unmasked Founders, a conversation with me, Leslie Kay. Welcome back to Unmasked Founders, the conversations underneath the surface of what it really takes to be an entrepreneur, a woman in business, and oftentimes the conversations that do not make the highlight reels. Today with me, I have Elsa Morgan, and I'm so excited to share this conversation with you and with her, and to bring more awareness to some of the more sometimes difficult questions that people don't ask because it's not as exciting as how much money have you made. So welcome to the show, Elsa. I would love for you to start with a little bit about you and a little bit about your journey.
Well, firstly, thank you, Leslie, for that introduction and for having me here as well. So a little bit about me, Elsa Morgan. I was actually, if I could take you right back, I was born in Argentina, in Buenos Aires, and I had 2 dining chairs as my bed for the first 18 months of my life. And I just want to mention that because that's going to be important. But also filed for bankruptcy in 2009 after the global financial crisis. I was in personal bankruptcy. I was also a university dropout, by the way. I was completing my, on paper, destined to fail, right? So I had about 6 subjects left in my final year after completing, 3.5 years, and decided that it wasn't for me. And so really from 2009, rebuilt my life and spent 4 years, almost 4 years by myself, and then met my soulmate. Then in 2015, we got married and discovered entrepreneurship. And I suppose that's where everything changed for me forever and led me to where I am today. Just, that's a very quick intro.
I love that. And yeah, so much resonance already. And I love the depths of the story, or the little snippet into the story of where you came from. And, I grew up in Australia, but in a lot of poverty, a lot of, my parents are drug addicts, full of addiction, full of chaos, really. And I should have been a statistic, and I wasn't. So I love that you've shared that, because I think there's something so powerful and so special with sharing the journey from nothing through to self-actualization into what lights you up, especially in business. So thank you. My saying is, we're not defined by our circumstances, we're defined by the choices that we make. Correct. So I would love to know, when I ask you, what is one choice that has stood out for you that you think has changed the course of your life? What would you say that is?
So in 2015, we had our firstborn, and, I was a late mum. I didn't think I was going to be a mother. So I was 41 when he was born. And so I had this strong desire to want to spend more time with him, because I found myself working 60 to 70 hours a week. I was reporting into a CEO, and I knew that if I wanted to earn more, that I was going to sacrifice more time. And I was already tired coming home. And so I had that difficult conversation with my husband saying, is this it? Is this really how it's always going to be? Nothing wrong with our life. I was happy and I loved him and all of that. So there was nothing wrong with that. But where I was unhappy was the fact that I really wanted to spend time with our son, and I thought there is no other way. So making the decision to have that conversation with him opened up the possibility for me to look at what else was possible. And then what eventuated was literally by, as you know, I don't know if you're spiritual, Leslie, I'm suspecting that you are. Universe had bigger plans.
Yes.
I'm faith-based, so I say God had bigger plans for me, but I didn't know that then.
Yeah.
And a product that a really good friend of mine was positioning on social media. And I was highly skeptical because I wanted to lose weight and I couldn't lose the weight. And trying that product for 30 days changed my life forever. So it really stemmed from that conversation with my husband, because out of that, we tried, I tried the product and then discovered that there was a financial component attached to it, that I could build a business. And then having had already that conversation with my husband about I wanted to see how else I could carve out time and get out of the corporate rat race, then open up the possibility for me to look at this with some serious eyes, because he already knew what I had really wanted. And thankfully, I have a very supportive husband who believes in my dreams and all of that. So, that's one of the key things that I think has been really important for me. But that decision radically changed everything for us.
I love that. And again, so many through lines. I feel like we've been living on parallel lives, because my first business was born because I had a son, and who I was working for said I couldn't take longer than 6 weeks off, or I had to give up the business I'd built. And at that stage, I was earning $700,000 a year as an employee. And I was like, what do you mean? And that was the first time I experienced like golden handcuffs of like,
yes,
it was my business. I built the clients. I was the one working 6 days a week, 12 hours a day. I was the one like killing myself to build this multi-million-dollar business. But because it wasn't mine and my name wasn't on the door, because I was working inside another ecosystem, I realized for the first time I had no control, and not even so much control. I had no say in how my life was being dictated. Again, if I wanted to keep growing, what did I have to sacrifice for that? So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I feel like there's so many women that will have so many stories of, I started my business because it's like the world in its general sense, in the corporate world, doesn't make space for mothers to be ambitious.
No.
And I feel like there's and even from other mothers as well, I'm going to say, there's such a projection of choose one or the other. And
I agree.
Yeah, I've always been like, well, why can't I have both? Like, why can't I be successful and be a mother? Like that can work. So I'd love to know a bit more of maybe what you had to give up. What has success or choosing yourself or being an entrepreneur cost you in essence?
Yeah, I mean, I just want to touch on real quick your story about how with you either had to have one or the other, because that circumstance actually was presented to me about 3 years later, because I was building this business as a side hustle. So I continued on working until actually it was 2 years later. We had our second child, our daughter, and actually no, it was sorry, I'm lying. Yeah, yeah. God, it's the lines are blurred.
I get it. Yeah, I'm like, so what year? So much has happened.
Yeah, it was either in 2016 or 2017. It was one of those 2 years. So I was building this as a side hustle, and what happened is our son had a temperature, and so I couldn't take him to childcare because we were relying on childcare a few days a week. My mother looked after him every other time, but at that time, my parents were overseas. And my husband had important meetings on that day. I think we may have been traveling. So it was up to me. And so I called my then CEO, who's my direct report, and said, look, I'm going to be working from home because I've got no other alternative. I've got to stay home. And he didn't want me to do that. And so it was at that time, I'm pretty sure it was 2 years in, because at that time, I said to my husband, this is never going to happen again. That's it. I'm going to build this thing. Yes. I'm going to exit myself out. I'm going to do whatever it takes to exit myself out, because no one is ever going to deny me looking after our children when they're sick and they need me. This is never going to happen again. And so I resonate with what you just said there, because, and I believe that happens more often than what we hear about.
Truly.
That there's a lack of tolerance in the traditional workplace for women to be able to look after their children. Because mean, there are some strict guidelines in childcare about not bringing children in when they're unwell, and so if you flaunt those, then you risk losing that place. And I didn't want to, him to spread whatever it is that he had either. And so I resonate with that. And to your point, what did I have to give up? Well, I mean, I've gained so much. I think the only thing that I've really given up out of pursuing full time, and I don't really think it's giving up, but is and I'm being serious. And
I agree.
Wow, that's really hardcore. Like, is the friendships, is the social outings, because when I'm on a mission to serve and impact 1 million women, it's a pretty big goal. And also to build my company to $10 million. And you have to have a level of maturity, focus, and your inner circle has to be so tight and in alignment with energetically who you need to become and the business that you want to build, that your visions and goals are so foreign to just anybody that they look at you like you've got two square heads. And that's not judgment on them. It's just that they don't understand the level of obsession and focus that you need to launch and build a company of that size. There's responsibility on so many levels, especially when my company, it's dual fold. I've got clients that are relying on me to be able to help build strategy so they go on and build their 6 and 7 figure businesses. Plus I have obviously my family, so it's threefold, my family as well, but also the dependents, my contractors, my staff as well, because it's through our execution that they get to pay bills, they get to fund their dreams, it's to help their families and also my client families. And then everyone else broad, from a broad perspective that's looking at me, seeing me as an example, the level of responsibility is real. And if you don't take that seriously, you risk so much energetically. There is so much truth to the environment and the company that you keep. And so when I see some people that, I used to hang around with and their social outings, I smile and I just think, isn't that nice? But I think I wouldn't trade places to go there. And that's really the only thing that I've lost or had to sacrifice, because I've gained so much. The version that I am today, Leslie, is someone that I never thought would be possible. That 2009 version, if someone had said to me back then, in 2025, you're going to be well and truly on your way to building a $10 million company and you'll have a goal to impact 1 million women, I wouldn't have believed it at all that I could become that version. But it's required that level of sacrifice, extreme, but yet I've kept my focus really tight. So I've gained so much because of that.
I love that. And I think I like to frame it in that way to see what it provokes. Words are spells, definitely, and different words can invite different things that we remember. And I would agree, I've lost so many friends, or not even lost, just evolved through them. It's proven now, and I'm probably going to get the term wrong because I'm by no means an expert in this, but they've actually done research that your DNA starts to change based on the people that you spend the most time with. So it's not just like a spiritual or an energetic or you actually become more of the energy of who you're around. And you kind of want to be around expanders, because in my opinion, life and business and love and being a mum is hard enough. And if you're not around people that can invite you into the next level of you, then life can get pretty heavy. So I would say similar. And I used to feel really guilty for it sometimes and be like, am I just being judgmental? But when you have a big mission, and I'm scaling 2 companies, it's like I don't have the energy to be around people that can't see why I'm doing what I'm doing and where I'm going.
I so understand what you're saying. And it does require people to be in it at this level to understand. I call it obsession, but it's a healthy obsession, because
truly
what you're doing is helping to transform people's lives, right? And so that it's always a great obsession to have, but to be able to build a business to this scale, there's no way that my 2015 version could handle the awareness, the knowledge that's required that I know now. And to your point about expanders, I was on a Zoom this morning and I said to Olaf coming off, I saw not that I was comparing, but I saw why this woman is where she is. And because the level of strategic thinking and just was so profound, I went, I know why I'm here, because I meant to see this. Right? I meant to see this because this is where I'm heading. And you energetically feel the expansion straight away. You energetically understand this is where you're going and this is the possibility for you.
Really?
When you understand the assignment, when you understand what you're doing. And so I'm probably getting a little bit ahead of schedule here, but I know you understand what I'm saying.
I understand what you're saying so much. And I love bringing these types of conversations to people because I feel more people need to understand that and to just let go of the guilt. And the obsession is healthy, but for me, the obsession is also on the days that I don't want to get out of bed, is my mission bigger than my excuse, or is my mission bigger than my fear, or is my purpose here bigger than the part of me that's scared to keep showing up and keep showing up and keep showing up? And without that, some days you just wouldn't get out of bed. So I think every truly impactful leader needs to have a bit of an obsession about their work, their impact, what they're here to do in the world, because we can't make change from a nice to have or this is a cute idea, but I'm not actually going to invest my energy into it. Change only comes from, I'm going to make sure I impact 1,000 women, 1,000,000 women. And my missions are very similar. I don't think there's enough female founders that hit 7 figures, less than 2%. And I've done it 4 times. And I'm like, I didn't even realize because of the environments that I've been in. So I think it's so important to have and hold these conversations and to be obsessed, because without us, women would stay to some degree stuck in the awareness that they're in, and they wouldn't know what more is possible and what is waiting on the other side of that awareness. So
I so agree.
I love that. My next question then would actually be the moments that brought you to your knees. What were the times that you needed to be obsessed again or find that obsession because perhaps, you were in a dark night of the soul, or, something that generally doesn't make the highlight reels. And I've followed you for some time and I see you speak about a lot, but I'd love to bring some more depth to moments that you thought maybe you weren't going to recover from, but you did.
I just want to preface my answer to say that to the audience that everyone goes through downs. And in fact, if you're not going through challenging times, you're not growing enough.
Really?
And so if you're in a space right now where you're feeling like you're stuck, or you're just facing a lot of rejection, or things are just not executing to plan, welcome to entrepreneurship. I say this to my clients all the time. This is the business. That's exactly what's meant to happen, because when you first set a goal or you have this idea about building a business, we set the intention from the perspective and the level that we're at. And there is so much in the forward thinking that we're not even aware of that needs to be taken into place to achieve that. But it comes forward and is brought towards us as we move forward. And the awareness and all the learning and the skill development, everything that you need is being brought forward through all the challenges and the obstacles and the rejections that you face. And I think if people can understand that the challenging times that you're facing right now are actually going to be the lessons that you need. And it took me a long time to understand that until I actually really learned it. In 2018, I was in Nashville. And a former mentor of mine was delivering a presentation, and that's exactly what he was talking about. And I remember having this aha moment going, oh my goodness, I thought the obstacles it wasn't meant for me and I need to shift completely, when really it was like, keep going, because on the other side of that is expansion and growth and lessons and the next level. And so to your point, at the end of 2019, I was in a situation where I was in a network marketing company, and I had a 6-figure business, and our upline, who was well known, like the number 1 network marketer in the world, said, if you're not in Las Vegas, you're not taking your business seriously. And she delivered that to the leadership team. And I took that seriously. So I sold my BMW to get myself to Las Vegas, because even though I had a 6-figure business, I didn't have the energetic system, let's just say that the nervous system, etc., to have the capacity to hold it. So my bank account didn't reflect it. And of course, I didn't know that then. I just thought that I was doing something wrong, but I just wasn't prepared for it. So I ended up selling my BMW, got myself to Las Vegas. There were some things that transpired out of that event where I was on the flight home, and I thought to myself, this is at the end of January, so right before COVID hit. And I was on a flight home. And I thought to myself, never again am I going to be in a situation where I have to sell my BMW or any car for that matter to get myself to any event. And coupled with that, we had $137 in our bank account that in 2019 for Christmas. And I said to myself, it's never going to happen again. And I remember coming home and having that conversation with my husband. And of course, up until then, he had supported me without even questioning me. And here I am again going, I'm going all in and all of this. And then not long thereafter, of course, this always happens too, when you make this massive commitment. And I said to God, like, use me as your instrument to go and impact the world. Well, of course, if you're going to do that and really give your life up for serving the humanity, you're going to be put through the ringer, so to speak, because you have to be able to love people without any expectation. You've got to love people. You've got to serve no matter what. And so I went through a situation that was not nice. I won't go into it, but it got me to a point where I found myself under my desk, with the lights off, and my mental health was like totally shot. And I thought to myself, like, I'm either not meant to be here or this is meant for me. So it was either one or the other. And Olaf, my husband, opened the door and he said, like, this is crazy. Like, no business is worth all of this. And I said, but no, like, this is teaching me a lesson, and I'm feeling this low because I'm feeling like a failure, and I'm questioning my own existence here. But I came to my senses, and then from then on, I just said to myself, like, you said that you were going to do this, and so just do it. And if as hard as it gets, you've got to pull yourself back up. And that's when I really turned to God, because from that moment on, I literally gave it up. And I know a lot of people who play big in this space understand this, but up until that point, I wanted control still. I needed to see evidence that I was on path. I needed to see evidence that I was worthy of what was coming towards me. But in that moment, I knew I had to release the reins and understand that everything that was coming towards me was for my elevation and making me stronger and wiser and capable to be able to build whatever it is that he had planned for me.
Truly. Again, so much resonance and similar. My business brought me to my knees and found more faith with God in just like, I know what I'm here for is bigger than me, and I will keep getting up even if the world keeps knocking me down. And I'm scaling a second company at the moment. And actually a couple of days ago, we lost a client for a silly reason too. And I had one of those moments where I was like, oh, okay, like this is where it's going to ask of you to keep doubling down, to improve your systems, to improve your team, to actually keep leaning into this. And I'm so grateful for the moments that I've had in entrepreneurship where I've been asked that question from God, because it's built that resilience muscle of like, I've been here, I know this, and it feels like my life is about to end because not everything's going to plan.
And I so understand that, because it happens again and again and again and in different ways. And when you least expect it. And now I kind of almost feel numb momentarily, and I just, because, you have to, it's sort of like my system is just adjusting to the new reality, so to speak. And then I just sit there and I journal on it, and I just think, okay, well, this is the next lesson that I have to learn, right? So I so understand, and it's never easy, but it's never easy in that moment, because you're always thinking to yourself, how could I have done this better? And of course, always reassessing is important, but it's that getting back up that is the key to success. Because, I explain this all the time, Leslie, like a lot of people start businesses thinking that it's exactly like the Industrial Revolution system that a lot of people are used to, where you go in, you go to work 9 to 5, you have a set salary, set hours, set conditions, set annual leave, sick leave, everything you know. So everything is known. And to qualify for any job, you need to have knowledge. Whereas entrepreneurship is exactly the opposite to that, where you don't know, but that's the beauty of it, because you're going to know the more that you go, and then you set the salary, you decide. You mentioned before, like, there are days where you don't want to get out of bed, but there are days where your body may be asking you to rest, because it's you're needing to rest, because the expansion is coming and resting is allowing for the things to come in. And so you have to trust in yourself enough that your resting is part of the plan, because resting is part of the plan, right? And so there's so much that people don't know about the true elements of success, and there's an expectation that everything, as soon as they start, is going to come forward. And it does happen, but you need to grow towards it first, right?
You've got to put in the reps. I say this often: business is sales, marketing, delivery, the end. I don't care what industry you're in, it's sales, marketing, delivery. It's not hard. You can learn it all off YouTube. What's hard is growing as a leader, because it can be really confronting to face yourself in your failures. It is resilience. It's keeping on going when you feel like the whole world is against you, and really acclimatizing to the lessons and allowing that to shape the business you're becoming and the leader you're becoming. And it's getting used to loss, because not just friends that you lose, but so many women that I coach, they start with someone, and because of that loyalty, they try to hold on to them. And maybe that person was good for a 6-figure business, but they're tipping into 7 figures. And it's a different type of person you need in your business oftentimes to take you from where you are to where you want to be. And so getting used to loss is crucial, because it's going to happen, and it's not taking it personally or thinking you're a bad person or I don't know, that it's painful to do that, because it's just evidence of your evolution. And again, so many times I see people keep themselves stuck or small because they're actually afraid of what it's going to ask of them. And it's actually just accepting that it's going to ask you to become the biggest and best and most bold version of you. And that's kind of the point.
That is the point, because people, I think, have this expectation that they have to show up in a particular way or be in a particular, state. And it's not. I think the whole essence behind you being a successful business person is getting to know you. Who are you at the core of you? And your relationship with self will largely determine the level of success that you have. So if you have this healthy relationship with yourself, where you can look at yourself in the mirror and say, you got to stop this, because that's what I did in 2021. I looked at myself in the mirror, Leslie, and I said, we can't think like this anymore, right? Like, we got to stop this, because this is not helping us any longer, right? And I committed to that, but constantly having those conversations and then pouring love into ourselves as well, because we got to hold space and have grace for our evolution. We're going to make mistakes. We're going to stuff up. We're going to make decisions that maybe in time we realize weren't the right decisions. And we got to be okay with that, because again, that's part of our evolution. And to your point about growth, that is one of the hardest things that I've had to learn as well, is the fact that I have a propensity to grow very fast. Like I'm quantum leaping now more than ever. And then realizing that not everyone either wants to come along or has the capacity, has the support system to come along. And then you find yourself going, but you can do this too. And then it's the whole convincing game, or there's, external parties like partners and husbands that I'm particularly happy with the way that their spouses are moving quickly too, because what does that mean for them? Their world's being moved and shattered as well, even though it's a positive thing. But, not everybody has the same environment that I have. And thankfully, my family eventually came around. Olaf has been on board the entire time. I also keep talk to our children all the time when mummy is very busy, etc. But my parents and my brother and my cousins, I think at the very beginning, Leslie, maybe thought I had two heads. You know, when I retired myself out of corporate and decided to go all in 2018, someone said to me, like, do you need to speak to someone? Because this is all different. Everyone is used to just having a job, right? And so to go all in on this, it's like, but you've got a great 6-figure job. Like, why would you want to give that up to go into something that you don't even know when the next dollar is going to come? But then everybody came around when they realized, like you, the amount of impact that you can create and the spoils that come with that. Now I'm a legend, right? But not everybody has is lucky enough to have support that can see that as well, because you are going to face adversity along the way where people are going to look at you and just say, like, why are you doing this? Like, it's only bringing you like $600 a month and you're going all in, or it's not only bringing you $2,000 a month when really you can get a job that's bringing you $10,000 a month, but not seeing the bigger picture of, hey, it may be $600 a month or $10,000 a month right now, obviously $10,000 a month is life-changing for a lot of people. But my point is that, you know, the time freedom, the wealth creation, the choices that I get to make on a day-to-day basis, like I get to take my kids to school and pick them up every day.
Really?
We get to travel. We get to, you know, we've got a, wealth portfolio that I would never have had if I had stayed in the workforce. It would just be physically impossible to have done it. And so, and of course, you can't see that from, looking forward.
Quick pause. Are these conversations resonating with you? Do you finally feel seen in your business journey? This is the entire mission of Unmasked Founders. To strip back the highlight reel and tell the raw truth about multi-6 and 7-figure success. We're here for the emotional costs, the days you want to quit, and the breakthroughs that follow. And we can bring you these essential conversations thanks to the support of our incredible partners, Cacao Collective and the OE Agency. These are the businesses who empower founders to keep going, providing the systems and the professional polish you need when you're busy navigating the emotional storm. If you love what you're hearing, don't miss an episode. Hit that subscribe button right now and check out Cacao Collective and the OE Agency in the show notes. Now, let's get back to it.
I love this so much, and I relate it to, I closed an 8-figure company and then left my husband, and I was asked constantly if I was on drugs. Constantly, like, do you need to go to rehab? And I was like, no, I'm fine. But I sold all of my assets and I took 12 months off, and even with a young son, I would travel for 3 weeks at a time and only be home with him for a week because I'd built so much of my life for everyone else's expectations.
Yeah.
I'd built this existence based on everyone's approval. And then when I deterred or moved away from the script that everyone thought was acceptable for me, people literally were like, does she need to be admitted? And for 12 months, people were genuinely concerned about me because I was choosing myself in a world that tells us that we need to compromise, or as I like to say, sacrifice, to fit in or to make everyone else feel comfortable.
Yeah.
And the world is walking around not knowing what they value, what they stand for, and what they actually want, because it's way easier to stay with our blinkers on and just follow the herd.
Oh, yeah.
So if you're the one that's like, fuck this, I'm going this way, see ya, people are like, are you insane? And I am actually, and I love being normal is a trap, in my opinion. So I love that you brought awareness to that, because I think for me, part of my mission is the permission piece to choose what life looks like for you. And I say to people, building a 7-figure company is not for everyone.
Nope.
But if you're sitting there thinking that I'm only, showing up 50% of what I can, and there's that part of you that knows you're made for more, then the permission piece is to go after more and to not care about. People will judge you if they're not living out their dreams.
Yep.
I've never been in a room with women that are living their dreams and going after what they want that tell me I'm insane. The only people that do are the ones that are too afraid to choose themselves,
Yeah.
that are probably in unhappy jobs, unhappy marriages, unhappy lives, but
Yeah.
it fits the script of what's acceptable, so they're going to
Yeah.
stick with it. And again, when I was going through all of this, it's like I lost all of my friends. And now that I've got another successful business and another successful relationship, it's like I'm safe again, that
Yeah.
it's socially acceptable now because they can see the payoff. But when I was
Yeah.
in the trenches, no one gave a fuck. They were like,
No.
okay, you've lost your mind.
Yeah. I even had a messenger intervention. I had high school friends, you know, they'd been friends with me for a long time, and they literally ganged up on me on Messenger, saying to me that, you know, that I've got to stop saying that, you know, people should, you know, stop working 9 to 5, that it's better to do what I'm doing and all of that. You know, really, do I even know what I'm talking about? Of course, now, I mean, I haven't spoken to them since, but I was really surprised at how much I had triggered people,
Really?
purely because I decided to pursue what I wanted to do. Because, like yourself, I was really capped out in my corporate career. I really didn't like. I'd been a product manager for a global logistics company, looking after a product for Australia, New Zealand, and reporting into Singapore. And I didn't want to sacrifice more time. That, you know, once upon a time I was in that role, and I traveled another year 76 times. And so I knew the corporate game, that if I wanted to earn more, I was going to sacrifice more time. I didn't want to do that. I just didn't think the payoff was there. And so when I went in all by myself, and I knew that I could set the terms, I could set the conditions, and I could decide on things. I mean, what was there to lose? I mean, there was everything to gain. I could spend more time with our husband. We could build the dream, you know, have the dream house, have the dream car, which was important for us. It's not important for everybody. It's important for us. And also provide experiences and opportunities for our children that we both never had, and so provide them with, you know, I mean, my parents did the best they could under the circumstances, and their programming was a direct result of their parents, etc. So my part of my assignment is to break the generational curse, right? And so it starts with me. And so, you know, we're teaching our children about wealth creation right now outside of school, and how so then they know now, and they're 7 and 10.
Yes.
And they already have an appreciation for making money. And so if I stayed, what you said, like normal, what was considered normal and acceptable, they wouldn't have that opportunity. They wouldn't have the ability to you know, think outside the square. And they're excelling in their school, but eventually we're going to pull them out and homeschool them and travel around the world and show them firsthand what contribution looks like. So then we can go and help people firsthand and show them that this is, you know, this is how other people live. Look how privileged you are, but this is why you should make more money, so then you can go and help more people, right? And but again, I never used to think this way when I was in the corporate world. And I remember, just real quick, Leslie, I was in my sales career early on in the piece, and I was reading a Tony Robbins book, which, you know, Awaken the Giant Within. And of course, it was all very foreign to me thinking that way. So, you know, and I have ADHD. So in high school and also in my corporate career, I literally had to have like 2 or 3 exposures of everything before it actually landed. But I remember there was a sales manager that passed my desk one day and said, "Why are you reading that rubbish? Like, you don't need to read that." And so I never thought about it at the time. But again, this is the kind of mentality that that there is, in terms of, you just don't have the opportunity to really pursue what you really want in here.
Truly.
Right? Whereas when you go and pursue your own thing, that those doors open, like, you get to do it all. You get to do whatever you want, but you have to work at it.
Truly. It was Grant Cardone for me. Grant, I found his 10x impact or something, and then I got obsessed with his work, and I read every book and listened to every podcast, and that was the inspiration to quit my job. But this also touches back on what you said at the beginning. Your environment matters.
Yeah.
So if
100%.
you're in a workplace where everyone is happy, just like clocking in, clocking out, cashing their check, being in the system, then you'll start to assimilate to that. But for you and for me, and this is why I say borrow belief from someone. It's why I'll always have a coach or a mentor.
Yes.
I'll always be in some form of elevation through someone else, like pulling me there sometimes.
Yeah.
But I borrowed belief when I didn't have the funds from books and podcasts. And
Yes.
like I just latched on to this idea that more was possible, and I didn't let it go. And I did what I could to become that version of me, even before I knew what was possible.
Yeah.
And I also want to touch on your point before, and again, parallel lives here, but because of my upbringing, I was making millions of dollars a year and my bank account was constantly empty.
Yeah.
So I think there's a bigger conversation that needs to be had sometimes around wealth creation versus making money, because they're two very different things.
100%.
And it's been
I didn't know that either.
Me neither. And then, you know, divorced, sold, and actually one of the reasons people thought I was crazy was because I closed my 8-figure business and sort of just spent 12 months traveling, and I came back and started from nothing. So, and this has been a constant journey of mine and a constant realization. I'm forever in and actually my word for this year is wealth creation and wealth building, because yeah, my previous nervous system makeup and programming was that I wasn't safe to hold money. And that's been some of my biggest work. Is I've always made millions of dollars and haven't actually invested or understood the wealth creation part.
Yeah.
And so I think it's a big conversation for women especially. And, you know, not that this is right or wrong in any way, but oftentimes men are the ones that look after the wealth. And I'm definitely a very traditional woman. My partner runs our household, but I think it's important for us to have awareness around what wealth creation looks like.
100%.
And make our money work for us, because, you know, after our call, actually, we're speaking to a company that helps you buy multi-residential dwellings through your super fund. And I just want to touch on impactful investing in wealth creation, because these houses are rented out to women that are leaving relationships and women over 50 that find it hard to find accommodation. So I think
I would like to know information.
Yeah,
about that,
I'll send you the
shoot
details.
it through, girlfriend.
Yeah, so basically this wealth creation piece with impact. So again, we've got hundreds of thousands of dollars in our super, me and our partner, and it's just sitting there. And I was like, well, how can I start to build wealth whilst I'm building my companies? Because I'm making lots of money, but my cash flow's tight. And I was like, well, what other ways can I start to build the life of the future? Because I have always thought about like 5 steps ahead and then maybe a year ahead. And now I'm starting to think, what does the next 5 years look like? And if I start to focus on wealth and investment now, in 5 years, that's going to start to mature and I'm going to start to see a return. And I think especially for me, my story as an entrepreneur was so blinkered and like I'm focused on this, when I think the shift or the next level, the wealth creation that's inviting me into is, what am I planning for the future and what seeds am I planting now? And then the next conversation for me is, what impact am I bringing to the world with those conversations and where I'm investing my money? So it was a no-brainer. I was like, well, you know, and Perth especially, and most of the world now, it's really hard to find accommodation. And it's like the medium rental price in Perth right now is $1,500. If you're a single mum, you're not affording that.
That's impossible.
Right? And when I divorced, I sold my house. So I had $350K cash. So it was easy for me to get a house. And I was going to these home opens thinking, God, like half of these single mums aren't actually going to get a look in. So just the little side step. But when you were talking about wealth creation, I was like, I think as we're having these conversations and bringing awareness, the next level for me is, what impact is the money that I'm making going to leave on the world? And how, even in such a small way, like I'm going to buy one house, it will have, you know, it'll house 6 women, but maybe in 5 years' time, there'll be enough equity back in my super that I can buy a second. And what is the ripple effect of that level of expansion and conversation about wealth? For me, it's like wealth with purpose. It's like, what opportunities can I create from that? So I love that.
I'm such a believer in that. I'm such a believer in that. And, you know, to your point about, you know, thinking 5 years ahead, I was in a team call back in 2020, and our upline was interviewing Rob Dyrdek, who's a reality TV star in the US back then, and what he spoke about profoundly changed the way that I thought about goal setting, because back then he was saying that he wanted to become a billionaire by the year 2030. And so, of course, it was 2020. So he was talking about, his 10-year plan. And so he said, so I have this 10-year plan that by 2030 I'm a billionaire. So then I reverse engineer back into like 2027, 2025, 2023, 2021, and 2020. Key milestones that I have to hit, right, to be able to help me to get there. And so everything that even though I'm making decisions on a daily basis and even setting goals on a yearly basis, but everything is by 2030 in terms of where I'm sitting is working towards that. And to your point, exactly that. A portion of our revenue is given to is contribution, because what is the point of just earning all this money and you just have all this money just for yourself? I think there's a great opportunity where you can go change the world and make a meaningful difference. Why wouldn't you? And so we partner with UNICEF. They've got a program called Education for Every Girl. And because I was born into poverty, which is where I'm going to connect this, I was born into poverty and had 2 dining chairs as my bed. And if my parents didn't make that decision to migrate to Australia, wouldn't be here. And so what we do with Education with Every Girl is every month we contribute to them, and something like, for example, I think it's around about $300 to $400 Australian. So it's roughly that fee. So for every $300 to $400 Australian, helps 40 school-age girls to be able to have access to education. It's something as small as that in terms of contribution, where I believe through that I'm starting to break the generational curse in their respective families. I think it's our responsibility, if you have the ability to contribute. Even just, there's a place in Melbourne called the Soup Place, and what they do is, if you go there and you buy a cup of soup or a bowl of soup from them, then you have the opportunity to pay for a homeless person's cup of soup or bowl of soup. And I think, why wouldn't you? Right.
Truly.
And so I love the fact that you're doing that, because I truly do believe that's why I'm here is to do this work outside of commercially helping my clients and also our staff and contractors to go and build their dreams, is to also help the world in a broader perspective, to help break generational curses, to give people a leg up. Because we've both been given leg ups from mentors and people along the way. And I think this is our way of us doing that back.
Truly. And I tell this story often. I didn't have awareness of it at the time, but God always placed someone on my path to help me.
Yeah.
It's like when I was 13, I started working in a general store to earn money, and the owner of the shop was a lovely man that nurtured me and fathered me in some way and gave me fatherly advice. Yeah. Then when I was 17 and I left a small country town and I moved to Perth, my first boss paid for me to study business administration, paid for me to get my real estate license, and really, just invited me into believing that more was possible for me. And without him, again, I'm not sure where I would have been. And then again, when I first started recruitment, my director at the time, I actually quit. When I first started recruitment, I was fired twice and I quit twice. And the director above my manager overruled it every time. And he was like, Leslie, I see something in you and I am not letting you throw this opportunity away. And then I went on to, that was actually where my life changed, really. I went on to be 8-time world record holding recruiter and making millions of dollars inside of that business. But had I not have had that person placed on my path, I would have quit and gone back to working security and working in bars and doing all those sorts of things. So yeah, I do think a part of my mission is and this podcast actually is, can I be that voice for someone that might be at the beginning of their journey?
Yeah.
That needs God to place someone on their path to believe that it's possible to change your circumstances.
That's us.
Truly, truly. And I think that's why we get the opportunities we do, because of I think we're doing it for the right reason.
I that's what I say. Like I always say to Olaf, if you come from a good place and you're honest and you speak the truth, I tell people the truth, and it scares some people about what it really takes to build this. I said, well, do you want me to tell you the truth, or do you want me to give you the Instagram version? Because the Instagram version you're going to hate me for and tell me that I'm a liar, versus me telling you the truth about what it really takes. Like you're going to get 99% rejection before the one yes, or the things going your way. And that's okay. That's part of the equation. That's part of the plan. But as long as you're getting rejection, you're still growing because you're moving forward, right? And so I think our heart's in the right place, Leslie, which is why we keep getting these people giving us the leg up and helping us. And we get the momentum and all that, because we're here to serve for the right reasons. And I really do believe that it's pretty, for me, it's becoming very obvious on social media. You can kind of tell those people that are just out there to, make a quick buck versus those that genuinely are here to serve and just give and give and give. And they're giving you the information that really matters versus just stuff that they've gotten from ChatGPT kind of thing. And it's so important for anybody who's starting off to understand that you're not going to know all the things. This is not like university where you're going to learn all the things and then you're going to get the job. You actually get paid as you learn, and just be okay with that, because you have this expectation that you've got to learn all the things. You're already behind, right? And that's why you need to constantly invest in yourself so you learn as you get paid, versus you, feeling like you need to do all the things. And even when you feel ready, you're still not going to execute, because you'll find something else that you're probably going to want to learn as well. And there's just this obvious two sides. Those people, Leslie, that go on and win and move fast and go and do everything, like everything that they do. People going, how are you doing? It's because we're okay with falling flat on our face. We're okay with egg on our face. We're okay with making a mistake. We're okay to say, hey, I screwed up. I had a bad month last month. I accidentally responded. Well, not accidentally. I spoke to someone. I shouldn't have said it that way. It just came off that way. And I'm human and I'm raising my hand, etc. Versus those people going, I don't want to show up. What if someone judges me? What if someone says it? And it's like there's this obvious gap, and people just need to know that in 50 years' time, none of us are going to be alive, so who cares, right?
I say this all the time because I think one of the biggest fear in businesses is failure. And I've sent a business to the cleaners with a $3 million HO debt. Let me tell you, no one gave a shit. No one cared. And it was in the newspaper 1 month, and I thought my life was going to be over. And 3 months later, nobody knew. Unless I told them, nobody knew.
Yeah.
And it just really reinforced this knowing that we make things bigger than what they are.
Yeah.
That a mistake that we make today is going to be forgotten tomorrow or maybe in a month's time. But as long as you're humble and moving from it, and I would say grace and humility are probably some of the biggest characteristics you need to have and to understand and to embody, because you need to have humility when you make a mistake.
Yep.
Grace with yourself when you do, because it's not an if you do, it's a when you do, and you need to be able to give yourself grace in those moments.
Yep, that's what I was saying before. Like you have to love yourself. I talk to myself every day in the mirror, saying, "I love you. I forgive you for everything that you screwed up in the past. You're doing well. You're amazing." And and then pour into myself, because, well, firstly, no one's coming to save me. Right? No one's coming to save me. But also, this is, I think, part of the reason why some people go on and win and somebody doesn't, because they hold on to past versions and past mistakes and thinking that disqualifies them from success, when it's actually the other way around. That's the reason why you should go and win. That's the reason why I want to be the example, Leslie. And I know you feel the same way. I was saying to somebody today, this is why I want to take my story to the stages, because I want people to know you can be financially bankrupt. You can be born into poverty and be at the bottom of the barrel. And I know you understand this. It's still going to win.
Truly.
It's still going to win.
Truly. And I want to add to that, you can be financially rich and emotionally bankrupt.
Yep.
And let me tell you, that's worse, because I was the 8-figure founder with the Range Rover and the designer everything. And I lived like a a shallow, empty life, and there was no fulfillment, and there was no self-love, which was actually the reason all of that happened, but that's a whole other conversation. Elsa, I've absolutely loved this conversation. I would love to know, what's one thing you want to leave the listeners with, like one thing, that whisper of hope or possibility that you just want to leave them with, to remember you and to remember their own, what's possible when they believe in themselves?
So firstly, I'm going to give a little bit of tough love, and I want people to hit my heart on this, because this is the absolute truth. You're not that special that you don't get to win, right? You're not that special that everyone else gets to win and enjoy all the spoils of life, and you're the only one that doesn't get to win. That's simply not true. So I'm just going to tell you out flat that you're just telling yourself a story. By the same token, there are countless examples of people that have come up from nothing, from literally losing everything and achieved all things. We hear stories of athletes, people without limbs, people that have lost homes, people like that young girl Malala. Well, she's not young anymore, but Malala from Pakistan, who was shot in the face. I mean, and has gone on to rebuild her life. There are so many stories where the human spirit just has risen up and fought back and won again and again and again and again. And I truly do believe, to live bigger, then go and chase it. Go and chase it and live that big life. Right? Nobody needs to have an opinion. And even if they do, who cares? This is your life. Secondly, because people are going to have an opinion if you want more. And I tell you, people say to me, when's enough enough? And I always say, well, until there's no homelessness, no hunger, people suffering from hunger, where all girls can have access to education, then my job isn't done. And I know that's a big task, but someone's got to start the movement. So it may as well be me. Number two, if you're going through a challenging time, as hard as this is to accept, you going step by step, day by day, because I've been there too. When I filed for bankruptcy, I felt like such a failure, and I felt like nobody would ever love me having a bankruptcy to my name. Nobody would want to even be remotely connected to me because I was financially bankrupt. And here I was, having been successful, and now I'm this loser, bankrupt chick in her 30s. And just literally taking step by step, day by day, gets you way further ahead than sitting in, in sorrow or believing in your story. And so understand that any rejection, any failure, any setback is just a moment in time. Like that saying, this too shall pass.
Truly.
So you can only move forward if you decide to take the step by step, day by day, versus sitting in there and living with that every single day. That's when you get to stay with that and never really move and evolve. And then if you're in business and you're a female and you're wanting more and you want to grow and evolve, you want to build a 6-figure business, you want to even have an 8-figure business like Leslie, at the end of the day, today is the day that you get to decide that you're going to do it. Like today is the best day. So don't wait for the moment where you think I have all my ducks in a row, because the ducks are never going to be there. So the ducks aren't coming. So today is your day. You are listening to this podcast episode for a reason. And the messages that Leslie and I have delivered, you are meant to listen to those. So today's the day that you get to decide that you're going to go after it, and then lean into the stories of women just like both of us who have gone before you, to know that it is all possible. Like if both of us who have screwed up majorly in life and made massive mistakes can go on and be as successful as we are, trust me, anybody can do this, right?
And we're only just getting started. We're like, I feel like I'm in day one every day.
Exactly. Like we're just getting started. But I'm saying, like, there are so many people. I mean, I'm going to go there. We have a convicted felon that's a president of a major country right now.
Really?
And I don't swing either way, but I'm just saying, like, I'm not for any particular party. But my point is, if a convicted felon can be a president of one of the biggest economies of the world, anybody can do anything.
Truly, truly. Yeah, I love that. I love your heart. I love your soul. I love your mission. This has been such a pleasure. Where can people find you?
Sure. Well, you can go to elsamorgan.com first and foremost. I majorly play on Facebook. So facebook.com/Elsa B. Morgan, or Instagram, which is @TheRealElsaMorgan, because, Leslie, there is another Elsa Morgan.
Rude.
And she's based in Sydney, and she's an international makeup artist. Shout out to Elsa Morgan. She's an international makeup artist for celebrities and models.
Oh, wow.
So she's doing big in her own right as well. So I celebrate her.
I love that. I love that. Oh, it's been such a delight to have you on. Thank you so much for all of your wisdom and just generosity of time and knowledge. I've really appreciated it.
Thank you for having me. I've had so much fun.
Me too. Me too. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Unmasked Founders with me, Leslie Kay. Follow Leslie Kay on social media for more insights, and we'll see you in the next episode. You can find me at Leslie with a Z, Kaye. Check the show notes for how to spell my name. Remember, true success is built from the inside out.